Beyond the Map's Edge, which again I always realize that's backwards to you. Beyond the Map's Edge, National Treasure Hunt by Justin Posey, or I guess Western Treasure Hunt might be more accurate description because, excuse me, it's very clearly the western half of of the U.S. And I haven't even measured to see if it's exactly half or what the line for half of the U.S. would be. Interesting. So the story we're covering today is the digging debacle. And again, we're going to do our best to try to maintain a high altitude and not go too deep in the woods with some of the words and the grammar and the wordplay and the word choice. We're going to try to stay high and try to get some themes, some clues, some hints to pull from it that we can apply to the poem. And today's episode is brought to you by the special number 20, because at the end of, once we cover the story, we'll go into a little bit about the number 20 and some interesting things about that number. Okay, so the digging debacle. We are squarely one, two. This is the third story in a arc of 6, and I did do some research, some counting, some looking into it. If you want to go by straight sections, this is 6 ties with. Oh, let me go ahead and explain. I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you start with Mom's house as the first story, right? Mom's house, Dad's house, Fitzwaters, Posey's on the road, Posey land, and I'll include the postal pilgrimage as 6 kind of, hey, Huli, hey, what's going on? As 6 stories that kind of cover his family, right? Mom, Dad, Mom's side, Dad's side, a little bit about, going into the relationship with him and his grandfather, which I think is pretty important. So that's 6 right there. And then we go into the Conquistador Conquest. So Conquistador Conquest, Bait Bonanza, Gracie Grail, Concrete Kiss, and then we start the Victoria Peak arc, right? So that's a section of 4. The Victoria Peak. Hey, what's up, Mom? How you doing? Victoria Peak is another series of 6. So that's the Treasure Tempest, Peak Pursuit, Digging Debacle, Tour Trap, Paternal Ploy, and Rearview Riches kind of brings that to a nice little bow. So that's 6. Then from here, I don't know what topic you would call it, because it's all about him finding loopholes at school, a little bit of school shenanigans, some metal detecting stuff, some fishing stuff. I would say the next big set is him and Jenny, and that's kind of broken up. So let's see, she's introduced into what, the Beano betrayal. It's kind of like one of their first dates. I don't know if that is their first date. I have to double check that. But one of their early dates, right? Beano betrayal. She appears again in Stormy Stakeout and the Rod Race. So again, that's broken up by the Living Legend. So there's 3 or 4 associated with Jenny. Then we go into some more family. Tucker is only Bronze Beast, Home Depot Hound, and then there's a couple breaks, and then he goes back into Derailed Duo and Snout Scout. So that's 4 right there. Although you could say the dedication toward him would be a 5th. Drift King, hey, what's going on, man? Said hi. How you doing? So I still think that this arc right here, this Victoria Peak arc, is second to family. You could, even though there's a group of family in the beginning, if you total all the family chapters together, yeah, that would be the most important. But if you total all the treasure chapters together, not just including Victoria Peak, right? But you throw in Conquistador Conquest, you throw in some later treasure chapters, that kind of is pretty close, right? But, we'll go with the Vin Diesel families first, right? But certainly Victoria Peak is second. In my opinion, if you're going through, and again, I'm using the table of contents and just kind of, hey, what's going on, Becky? And just kind of assigning a theme of family, of treasure, or of like just regular adventures. So I think that's pretty important to give you a weight to certain chapters, right? I got that from a discussion last night. I think Christy K Pro was talking about Justin's. I didn't get to hear all of it, but something about how he weighted certain chapters. And I was like, well, if you wanted to do that, that might be a good exercise for this book to weight certain chapters. And by weight, I mean okay, is this a chapter where he brings up a subject like metal detecting that's only mentioned like 2 or 3 other times, or is it a section like Victoria Peak that he spends 6 stories in a row, right? All right, so here we go into the digging debacle. Let's dig in, right? And first off, we run into the Hardy Boys, which the Hardy Boys is mentioned a few times. I don't know. I think he's a little bit of a lighter skin tone, Ariana. So I don't know. But the Hardy Boys, right? And how much of the Hardy Boys do we need to know? If you do a quick Google search on like main themes of the Hardy Boys, you'll run into, mystery, family. You'll run into perseverance, curiosity, Immakar for edit. I don't know what that means, man. I'm new to the live, so I don't know what name a car for an edit means. But anyways, the Hardy Boys, right? So how much of the Hardy Boys do we need to know? Do we need to just say any car? Pressure. I drive a Nissan Altima, so I hope that helps. Nissan Altima. There you go. Anyways, Hardy Boys. How much of the Hardy Boys do we need to know? Do we need to go into and read every single one? I hope not, because that's a pretty prolific library. Or take the main themes, which I think would. I don't know how to say that, Takashi. I don't know. Gex. I don't know. I don't know what it means. Thanks, man. Yeah, we'll do a shout out. Jimmy from Cockroach Studios. Shout out, Jimmy. We go way back, all of like 6 minutes. All right, digging debacle, Hardy Boys. Let's try to lock in here. I don't know. Maybe this was a bad idea. How much of the Hardy Boys we need to know? I don't think we need to read all the Hardy Boys. If you do want to, or if you grew up reading the Hardy Boys, that might have an effect. I grew up reading the Boxcar Children, so that's I didn't really read the Hardy Boys and Bernstein Bears. I read the Bernstein Bears and then Boxcar Children. But maybe the main themes could apply, right? So the main themes of Hardy Boys doesn't seem to be that far from this book right here. Family, mystery, adventure. They do a little bit more solving. There we go. I don't know what happened there. All right. So move. My phone's blowing up. I thought I was on do not disturb mode, but okay. Hardy Boys. This is gonna be a rough one. So page 53, we go into about ninjas, treasure hunters. Do I think ninjas or the CIA have anything to do with this mystery and this treasure? I don't think so. I wouldn't want to. If we have to cross swords with the CIA to discover where his treasure is, I don't know if that's really gonna be helpful. But we do get a little bit more. We answer my question that I asked from the previous story, where why did he choose the New Mexico sun? Because he goes into about the summertime, right? Let's see. Convincing him to join my nocturnal treasure. This is a direct quote from page 53. Proved easier than getting sunburned in the New Mexico summer. So from this, I'm taking it to the fact that he's out of school, summer vacation, and maybe spending a week or two at his grandparents in New Mexico. And that's all this adventure kind of takes place over a couple days or over the course of a summer. We'll try to look for context clues as we go to see if that's correct or not. Let's see. Moving on. I don't know if we want to dig too deep into the, he had a pickaxe and a shovel, if that's what we need to uncover what he hid. He does have a couple stories where there is digging, so I wouldn't necessarily rule out digging because he hasn't ruled out digging himself. But, do we need a pickaxe? I hope not, but you might better, pack it with you just in case, right? What book title? It's called Beyond the Map's Edge. If you haven't heard about it, it's pretty cool. It's from my estimate, I think it's $1 million or at least high six figures of gold treasure located somewhere in the western United States. Hey, Ramon, Simplify, brother. There's all kinds of clues in the book. There's a poem, and there's even a map. Although the map isn't that helpful, right? So for those of you who don't really know what we're talking about, all he says is the treasure is somewhere here, right? So, so good luck with that. Just if you can, I don't know what that is, Masters English Podcast. And I can't read that, Godzilla. Sorry. But getting back to page 53. All right, let's trudge along, shall we? So we got Hardy Boys. We got digging. Oh, okay. So going about digging, right? Here's the next interesting note. He brings up El Chapo, right? I spent a week sketching out plans that would make El Chapo proud and civil engineers weep. So I wasn't sure which direction to go with El Chapo, right? Because obviously he's known, notorious drug kingpin, did a lot of bad stuff, presided over a lot of bad things. But if you want to talk with him in the context of digging, and I didn't really know this, but apparently he like pioneered the use of long range tunnels, which I guess on the surface it makes sense that you need specialized engineering to make those work and make those hold up, especially if you're digging long. I don't want to go into a deep engineering trade here because I'm not an engineer, right? But apparently this guy gets a lot of credit, at least among the long range tunnel community, for pioneering a lot of the use. And again, I'm sure it wasn't him down there with the shovel, but as far as he outsourced experts and he got top minds to kind of work on these. Yeah, Cypher. Yeah, he was pretty wily, pretty good escape artist. But specifically, if you read his YouTube, not YouTube, if you read his Wikipedia about and if you go into detail with some of the long range tunnels he built, and they haven't even discovered all of them. They estimate that more than half of the ones that were constructed during his reign or his rule or however you want to call it are still going. Now, do I think El Chapo is the him? And as far as his realm and his bride, no, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. But it is interesting, right? I've heard crazier theories. I don't think that that's the way to go here. That El Chapo is the him, and his realm would be. Yeah, I don't know if we want to go into that route for everyone's safety involved. But it's just interesting that he pulls him into play. El Chapo would be proud. Also, maybe it's just a current event. If you look at when he was writing this, when was El Chapo was arrested and caught and escaped a few times from 2016 to 2019, if my memory serves correct. So 2019, 2020, that still would have been fresh in the news. And then his son made the news again a couple of years later, right? 1 or 2 years later, with a big shootout. So I don't know. I think he did a lot of research as a child, and then continued to grow about long range tunnels, about tunneling. I think it would have been something. Yep. You got me. That's right, Ruby got me right there. Haven't had hair for probably 7-8 years now going. But I think that it's pretty interesting that he would have learned all this about tunneling. How that applies into us, I don't know, because he said no caves. I'm assuming that's no mine shafts, no abandoned tunnels or anything like that. I don't think we're gonna need to go into any cartel tunnels in the American Southeast. That'd be pretty wild. All right, moving on. So it's another chapter for digging. It's another chapter for animals. You got gophers, earthworms. You got moles. He uses a lot of metaphors and symbolism that he's has experience with, right? So we haven't gotten there yet, but we'll find out that he goes to Arizona State. Did I say that right? Yeah, Arizona State. And so making the analogy of a drunken frat party whose pledges were gophers and moles. That's at the top of page 55. I think he would know that. No, I do not do art. No, this is a tribute to my aunt's late partner who passed away. She gave us some paintings, and so that's the only art in the house. I'm not an artistic guy, but I always thought it looked nice. She's got some other ones that are pretty cool. So, and my aunt likes it when I have it in the background, so it's kind of helping her memory live on, right? She passed away cancer a couple of years back, so we try to have some, as much as I can, try to have some of her work in the background. It's pleasant. I like the colors. I'm a fan of green, anyways. All right, that's kind of bringing to the end of this story right here. Other than the fact that I should have pushed harder for summer math camp. I'm willing to bet he eventually does go to a summer math camp. U of A, not ASU. Okay, yeah, I get them mixed up, Cypher. I get them mixed up. So he went to U of A, University of Arizona, not ASU. ASU is the party school, right? I think so. I think U of A is more serious as far as from what I remember when I was looking at colleges. I think ASU is still more of a party school. I don't know. Let's see. Let me, before we move on to the number 20, the magic number 20, did I miss anything important here? All right. We got a joke. I hope it's not a knock-knock joke. Let's see. Say clown and I will gift you 300 Satoshis. Let's see. Godzilla, Beyond the Map's Edge, Escape Artist, Chocolate Pig, Noodles. Holding on desperately to yeah. I feel you, Chase, man. If I do let it grow out, it's like a little ring, like a monk, and like a random patch here. It looks gnarly. It's bad, so I just keep it clean shaved. All right, cool. Satoshi, yeah. Eddie West, what's going on, man? All right, happy birthday, Chloe Paul. Me singing would be an insult, and it would probably drive away anybody watching, so we're not going to do that. All right, let's go on to the number 20, because this is pretty exciting. So there's very few numbers mentioned, right? There's a lot of numbers you can kind of find in the poem, but there's very few. We're on page, let's see, 199, 201 in the book. So this is the main poem. If you don't have the book, anyone can go to treasure.quest.com and you can see the poem. It's free. Anyone can actually participate in this hunt for free, even if you don't have the book. What's the vibe? The vibe is I'm covering a treasure hunting book called Beyond the Map's Edge. And again, the website, if you want to participate and play along for free without buying the book, it's treasure.quest. You just type that in and it'll direct you to there, and you can look at the clues and look at the map and the poem and everything like that. Do you know how close we're supposed to get with the clues? Exact. Eddie, it says exact. I mean, I think exact will get you... I think you'll be able to walk there, and then I don't think you'll need a grid search is what I'm saying. I think if you interpret everything correctly, you don't need a grid search. However, if you maybe interpret 8 out of 10 clues or 9 out of 10 or 90% of the clues, maybe you need a grid search at the end to find something that pops out, right? Okay, here we go. So number 20. So as far as the numbers that are actually mentioned here in the poem, you've got 3 and you've got 20. You can stretch some other numbers, right? And you can, find some that are, let's say, hidden in shadowed sight. But for 3 and 20, I did a little bit of a background on the number 20, and what I found is pretty interesting, right? This is pretty wild. If anyone has found this before, they're either keeping it to themselves or I wasn't on when they shared it. So let's see, the number 20. I have this pulled up over here. All right, so it's underlying math. I'm reading from the internet. Underlying mathematical principle. It's called the Vigesimal system. All right, and the term score provides some historical and conceptual links to number 20. So the Mayans came up with a base 20 system, which is pretty interesting. I feel like I might have learned that in the past, but I forgot about it until now. And I think I can show a picture of what it looks like. Let's see. So it's dots and let's see if we can. There we go. It's dots and lines, and the conch shell is a 0. Hey Diane, what's going on? No, I'm not Mr. Clean. I think he's a lot more well paid than I am. So they use dots and lines, which I know some people are going down a Morse route, right? They're claiming they can see Morse. You might want to use these dots and lines to see if they line up to certain numbers. I was going down a poem route, but poems, they'll use accents. So I don't know if you want to accents like the meters and the feet, use dots and lines for that. But I just thought I'm going to spend a little bit of time this week and next week trying to dig into this Vigesimal, which I feel like I'm saying that wrong. I don't know. Vigesimal system. But mainly because it comes from the Mayans, right? So I like that it's a South American tie-in. We've got a little bit of Conquistador Aztec gold vibe going. So let's look into this this base 20 counting system and see if it leads us anywhere. I mean, 20 is also in the book because there's 20 lines. There's 20 lines in this poem, right? So it's 5 stanzas, 4 lines each. That gets you the 20. There's a bunch of 20s throughout. If you go for syllables and counting the meters and the feet. So I haven't seen the number 20 that much in the book. To be fair, I just got on this number 20 train like a couple days ago. So I'll have to go back and see if the book says, it says degree, not degree. It's pretty interesting. So we'll see if this means anything. It's something I found today that I thought was pretty cool. I'm going to dig into it. It'd be really crazy if there was somehow it was in the book or if in the poem there was a conch shell. John Smith, what's going on? 4-letter John, we always trust 4-letter Johns. If there was a conch shell in there that could be 0, then that would really lean a lot of credibility to this thread. But right now, it's just one of the newest rabbit holes that I'm going down. You can do the same thing with the number 3. 3, I think most people believe, or most people know that 3 is more common in math and engineering. The triangle is a pretty strong shape. Before we move on from the number 20, there was 1 or 2 other things I wanted to say about the number 20. You could go into the whole score on, biblically and then old, I think it says Old English, Old Latin. Where they talk about, I never made that connection. Okay. Oh, John Smith to Johnny Law. What's going on, Johnny Law? That, 20 is a score. So, how that would be, you could say, If we're looking for 20, we're looking for a score. If you replace score with that, then it says her foot of 3 at score degree, which I don't know if that really makes much sense. Let's see. Anything else more about the number 20? It's just pretty interesting. I would say, and anyone can get there. The information is not really hidden. Just type in ask Google what's the significance of the number 20 in math and engineering, or if you want to throw computer science, throw that in there, and you'll get some pretty interesting hits. The number 3 is not as interesting to me, just because everyone's looking for triangles, everyone's looking for threes, and we dove into threes pretty early on with the whole. I know I'm going to mispronounce this, trochee in the poem aspect. So I'm sorry to hear that, Star. Sorry to hear that. Let's see. It's bald. Goody. I'm assuming you're meaning me. So yeah. Been bald 7 years now. Let's see. And no, I'm not going to go to Turkey and do that, whatever they do down there. It looks too painful and too much hassle. Hey, I save money on haircuts, all right? So again, that's kind of the latest new thing that I got. I'm on the 20 train. I'm going to spend some time this week going over. If I find anything new, I'll share with you guys. Anything new on the Mayan. The cool thing about the Mayans is you can bring in a lot of astrology, right? So I definitely think it's going to be a fun rabbit hole going down this whole, I forgot how to say it, Vigesimal, this base 20 system. So that'll be fun to go down. You got the Mayan calendar, you got the Mayan astrology. So, well, I'm sorry to hear that, Star, but I would say you may not want to spend your last days watching me on YouTube. I'm sure there's a lot better things you can do. I don't know if I'm going to bring you that much fulfillment or joy at the end of your lifespan there. But that's kind of all I got from here. If anybody wanted to talk about anything treasure hunt related, all right, I'm not an expert in anything really, but I'm not really well versed or prepared to talk about anything else other than Justin Posey's book, or if you want to cover JCB's book, or if you want to cover my own small hunt, we can talk about any of those 3 things. Let me scroll back up, see if I missed anything. And you're late, but you got here just in time. And this video will be published as soon as I close the live. It'll go up. The Crane Bride. Okay, that might be something fun. The Bad Rock Diaries. Let's see. Crazy Vibe. Do you know how close? Oh yeah, I think Eddie. We talked about that earlier. Hey, what's up? Vinay from India, what's going on? Satoshis, I think that's, I appreciate the sub, Takashi, appreciate that. Takashi, that's a Naruto guy, right? I think so. I think that's all the big things. All right, well, I don't think unless, again, last call if anybody has anything treasure related. If not, we're going to do sayonara, and I'm going to dive into the Mayan base 20 system and see if I can find where this cipher supposedly is. Haven't really made much headway with the cipher in the poem at all. The good news is I don't think anybody else has. Would you rather watch? Oh, Rex. All right. I guess that's time to end it for the day. It's always my sign. All right. Oh, you have a theory for double arcs of granite? Bolt? I heard some pretty cool ones, Suzanne. I heard, someone was throwing out the hearts. It's okay, Rex. That's right. No harm, no foul, man. Hearts was a cool double arc. Seen a lot of rainbows. Seen a lot of the letter S can be a double arc. I mean, double arcs can be literally anything. Double arcs, two double arcs together make a circle. And you could, the number 0, the letter O. You could go. Yeah, it might be. It might be. I had a thought for TTI early this morning. I think a video I was going to make. The Rock. I don't know if it's what I ever present binoculars. Okay, yeah, double arcs. Like when you go like this, like for the binoculars, double arcs. What you got, Cypher? Hit me, man. Let's see, Empty Spirit. What's going on, Empty Spirit? And I do like that story that he told on my interview about. Okay, yeah, we'll chat later, Cypher. Gotcha. He talked about that story with his grandpa and the ever-present binoculars rolling down in the hill in his truck, his Jeep. My birthday. Wish you happy birthday. Happy birthday. My birthday. Wish me. Happy birthday. Okay. All right. I guess this is a good time to call it. All right, guys.